Very honored, honestly.
All right, I'm going on mute so I can listen. And
All
if
right.
I hop on and ask you any questions, then I will.
Yeah, you guys definitely feel free to ask me any questions. I'm just going to share you my story and how I kind of got involved with the business. I've been a coach for a little over 2 years. I actually signed up on August 15th of 2012. And at the time, I had a full-time job. So I was working 40 hours a week for somebody else. And really, when I started, I wasn't like, oh, all the money, or, oh, I want to work for myself. Really, I just kind of started because I thought it would be fun. And I thought it'd be pretty cool, like just to do something different on the side and meet some other people that were, trying to lose weight. And so that's really initially why I started. I dived in really quickly, but I was overwhelmed really quickly, as you all know how it can be. So in case you don't know, I'm an Emerald personality. So if you guys know the gems, I'm an Emerald. So very organized, I have to have systems. I have to know how to do things, and that's just how my brain works. So for the first probably 8 months as a coach, I did hardly anything. I maybe sold like 3 or 4 challenge packs in that time. I think I signed up like 2 or 3 coaches. I hit Emerald in like 4 months. One of them was my significant other, and the other was a longtime friend that used Beachbody forever. So those were pretty easy. But from there, I couldn't do anything. And it really wasn't until I went to Summit that very next year, and which was 2013. And honestly, and not many people know this, but literally a month before I went to Summit, I almost quit. I was struggling. I was like, surely this isn't for me because I can't do this. Like all these other people are having such great success. I mean, look at them. They've been coaching for like 3 months and they're, almost to diamond or whatever. So I was really frustrated. So a month before Summit, I almost quit. And I was like, no, I've already got my Summit ticket. I've already paid for travel and everything. Let's just go. And boy, am I glad that I never quit. And trust me, if you've ever been on that brink where you're like, I can't do this, just don't quit. Like, you don't know what's right around the bend. And that's what it was for me. I got home from Summit, and I still did struggle some, but I felt like I had a little more push behind me. So I got home from Summit, and that was in June. And by November, I hit Diamond. And what changed in there is I really just stopped worrying about everything, and I just did it. And I know that's maybe hard to comprehend for some people, but I had to stop thinking about it, honestly. Like if you'll ask Lindsay, she's like, what changed in you? And I was like, I just stopped thinking about it, and I just did it. Like I stopped worrying, what am I going to say to these people? How am I going to talk them into being a coach or to buying something? And she's like, don't worry about it. Just talk to them, see what their needs are, and just ask. And so that's what I started doing. And within the next few months, I hit Diamond. So from there, meanwhile, all this time, I'm still working 40 hours a week. I'm still working my full-time job. I try and get my workouts done in the morning. I'm not a morning person, though. So I'd get home from work at 5:30. We'd eat dinner. Sometimes I'd work out before dinner, sometimes after, it just kind of depended. And then I'd spend maybe an hour or 2 in the evenings just working. I'd make a few new friends, I'd send out a few messages, and I'd do a few follow-ups. Some evenings I had more time than others, some I didn't. Some nights I had 0 time, and so the next day I just tried to do a few more, and if I couldn't, then that's okay. And I had to tell myself that because it's really easy for me, and I'm sure you guys all know this, like if you miss a day or 2, it's like, well, I already didn't talk to somebody yesterday. What's the point in doing it today or tomorrow? But you have to stay consistent, even if that's very small numbers. And in my brain, I kept thinking, well, I want to grow fast. I want to get there. So I had big goals, and I wanted to meet 10 new friends a day, and I wanted to invite 20 new people a day. And when I wouldn't reach that, I would get really discouraged and down on myself, and then I would just not do it for a few weeks. So So I hit diamond in November, and then I was like, yeah, let's just keep going. And luckily I had a great coach. You'll probably know her, Candy. I love her. She ended up hitting diamond the next March. And so within the next couple months, I was 1-star qualifying, and then it fell apart. And that discouraged me at first. And then I realized you can't count on just one person. And I'm sure you guys all know this. If you've even signed up one coach and they've let you down, maybe they've gone inactive or maybe they've quit, and you're like, what the heck? Like, you said you told me you wanted to go far and you wanted big things, and they didn't. It's going to happen. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, it will happen. I'll guarantee you that. Ashton's like, yep, definitely happened to me. I've had so many people that when they signed up, like, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to be my next diamond. I just know it. And then they don't. And then they might sign up one person and they're like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just going to be discount. You're like, okay, awesome. So, anyways, so Candy kind of did that. She had some other family issues, which everybody has. You know, nobody's life is perfect. Everybody goes through their own issues and struggles, and she kind of just let her diamond fall apart. And she's now almost back there, and it's taken her from March to now. So that's what, like 6 months. But that's okay. Like, what I've learned is that everyone's got their own thing, and I can support them in whatever way they need. And that's been big for me because not everyone likes to be supported and pushed the same way that I do. And so if you do have any coaches that you've signed up, try and think of them as in their way. So, you know, as in gyms, try and support them and motivate them in their gym. And that's something that's been hard for me. And because I'm like, yeah, it's just talk to these many people a day. It's so easy, right? No, people don't understand that. So anyways, getting back to my timeline. So this year is when Candy was 1-star qualifying, and I decided about that time in March, I really wanted to quit my full-time job. That was my goal. I wanted to stay home full-time because I wanted to start a family down the road, and I wanted my income to be a certain level, and it was just going to be great, right? So I was just going to quit my full-time job, no big deal. Well, that happened. I quit my job at the beginning of June this year, and then the end of June, right after we got back from Summit, my whole world fell apart. Like, my husband and I are splitting up, and it's this whole drama that I don't have to go into. But what you need to know is that just because you want to do this full time doesn't mean it's all cracked up to be. And I guess it depends on your phase in life, and that's what I've learned for myself. So I was like, okay, well, I have Beachbody. That's what I have to rely on. And I found myself, I had all this time now that I could, build Beachbody. And while that may work for other people, it didn't work for me. So now I've gone back to work. Different place, different scenario, but it's what I needed because I needed that structured time. And actually that kind of works better for me. Instead of having all day long to work on Beachbody, it works better for me to have some other time job. So I work X amount of hours there a day, and then I have X amount of hours to work on Beachbody. And I know that's all I have, so I utilize it instead of wasting so many hours in the day. And so, so that's where I'm at. I'm doing that, and the key is, I know it's a struggle, especially, if you have a family, if you're also doing another kind of job. I know how difficult it is. And the key is thinking of your priorities, thinking of why you want to do this, and remember that your speed of success may not be like everyone else's. Somebody else that may be trying to mentor you or motivate you may want you to go all out, and that doesn't work for you, and that's okay. Think of your own goals, and if it takes you twice as long or 3 times or 10 times as long to get there, to me, it's okay for me because I know eventually I will get there. Does that make sense? And I know how big of a struggle it is to balance all of the aspects of our lives. So my piece of advice, I suppose, in trying to balance everything in your life is, even if you can only fit in an hour a day. We talk about power hour a lot. And so even if you can only fit in 1 hour a day, whatever time of day that is, you can do that. And I went to a Danny Johnson conference last weekend, and she broke this down really, really simply. So I can't remember how many X amount of hours there is in a week. Hold on, let me pull it up. I have it right here. This will just show you how much free time you really have in your life. Sorry, I should have had this out already. Okay, so there's 168 hours in a week. That's for 7 days, 168 hours. If you sleep for 8 hours a night, which you should, because one, it's better for your health, and it's better for your mentality. You're gonna, your brain thinks better. So if you sleep 8 hours a night, that's 56 hours a week sleeping. If you have a full-time job, let's say you work a little bit of overtime, so you work 48 hours a week. And then let's say you spend 12 hours a week eating, which, let's be real. Usually how many of us are like chugging a shake on the way to work or on the way somewhere? We're all chugging a shake in the car or something, and then lunch you're like scarfing down something. How often do you sit down and like really eat a meal? Not very often. But let's say you do sit down for 12 hours a week and eat. That leaves you 52 hours in the whole week for extra things. So that's family time. That's any kind of recreational activities you like to do. That's working out, and that's working a side business like Beachbody. So if you think of it in that aspect, you're like, wow, I really do have a lot of time. Surely you can fit in 7 hours a week, 1 hour a day to build this business. Does that make sense? I hope that's helpful, because when she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I do have lots of time, and I know everybody's situation is different. I don't have several kids to take care of, and I can't compare my life to someone else's in that aspect. But when you think of 52 hours in the whole week to do just the basics, spending some time with your family, your kids, your spouse, working out, and there's really not a whole lot left. So trying to dedicate just 7 hours a week to your business seems pretty simple. So I hope that's helpful. Do you have any questions? Did I go over everything?
I thought that was great. And that whole aspect of the hours really, really hits hard. Think if you take that 52 hours, divide it, you get a little over 7 hours extra in a day.
Yeah.
You're doing all those things. So even if you're taking your time, we need to spend time with our kids, those of us that have kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And family is so much more important than your business, because when you honor your time with your family, then your business will also be blessed. So.
Yep. So, even if you're spending 5 hours, those 5 hours with your family, well, let's say 4 hours you're with your family, you have that hour for your workout, that's 5 hours. You have 2 hours left.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about the power hour, which most of you have probably already seen the video. I guess for my question, what would you think is the biggest key aspect? Because I know everyone on this call has coaches underneath them. What do you think is like the biggest key aspect of, dealing with coaches? Like what have you noticed with dealing with coaches? Like what has been the greatest success with you in dealing with your coaches? Because I know that a lot of us will be like you said, you're like, oh, this is definitely going to be the next diamond. We all get that in our heads. We know we're like, dude, this person is going to rock. And then you come on, you're like, what happened?
Yeah. I think for me, it's trying to work with them where they are, if that makes sense. So for instance, when Candy was so gung-ho for Diamond, and when she finally got there, I was like, yes, this is awesome. Like, just keep going. Like, we're going to get you to Star Diamond. Like, this is going to be awesome. And then when she just kind of fell apart, well, I also lost it because I was like, I don't know what to do. I had to learn for myself that you have to support them where they are in their life. Because if you push too hard and you're like, well, why are you not recruiting? Why are you letting this fall apart? You're going to turn them away from you and it can easily happen. Like, I've watched it happen before. So you're there to be their friend. I mean, most of the people that have signed up with you for a reason. I mean, how many of you have recruited a coach that you don't know? Probably not many of you. I mean, you know these people that are signing up with you. So to me, like, valuing that friendship is so much more important than worrying about their business, if that makes sense. While you're there as their leader. Even if you have one coach signed up under you, you're considered a leader now, and you're there to help and guide them. So it's difficult when you have those that you have high hopes for and they don't work out like you're supposed to. You just kind of have to help them where they are, like I said, but also just keep recruiting. And I mean, that's what Lindsay always told me. And something I forgot to mention in there, right? My very first summit I went to, like 8 months after I had signed up as a coach, I had a girl go with me to summit, and she was a pretty brand new coach. And I don't know if you remember her. It was Suzanne. She came with me. Anyways, so she came with me to summit. She turned Emerald literally 2 days after summit, and I was like, this girl's gonna be awesome, like, I can't wait. Like, she's been to summit, she loves Beachbody, she loves all this stuff. And then literally like 2 weeks later, she like completely disappeared. And I was like, what the heck? Like, what do I do? And I asked Lindsay, I was like, I don't know what to do. She goes, go recruit. Keep going recruiting. And guess who I found next? Candy. So it just goes to show you, if something really bad happens, if you have a coach completely quit on you and you're like, what the heck, I had high hopes for you and you told me you wanted this, just keep recruiting. Keep recruiting, because you don't know who's right around the corner. Like, I hear Lindsay say this all the time, like, if she had quit recruiting, she wouldn't have met half of her leaders, her diamond coaches on the team, half of, and if those people hadn't signed up, then many of you wouldn't have signed up, So it's just like that. You just have to keep recruiting when you get those people that are not motivated and are not doing what needs to be done, because I've had so many that tell me they want this, but then they don't do what I tell them to do. I'm like, here are the basics, here's what you need to do, and they don't do it. So you can't do it for them. They have to want it for themselves, is kind of what I'm saying. So if they don't show you the effort, I mean, there's not much else you can do except just go find more people. And then maybe eventually they'll become ready. And if they become ready, then be there to help them. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Come on, you guys don't have any questions? This is great to reach out to someone that, you might not speak to on a regular basis. So do you have a set plan for your coaches? Do you try to keep in contact with them in a certain way, in a certain amount of times, or every day? What do you do?
We have our own team page, and I check in there daily, and then usually probably about every other week I check in with all of my coaches, just see how they are, see what questions they have, see how I can help them. My leaders that I see growing, I check on their teams and be like, okay, this is what you need. You're so close. Like, I provide encouragement and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I try and check with them at least once a week, if not every other week, just to see how I can help, how they can help. And the key for me, which is something I'm learning, is how to help those coaches coach their new coaches. Does that make sense? So I'm struggling because it's more like they just send them to me and I help them, which is fine, but I'm trying to, train them to be leaders to help their new people as well. So that's the key. Once you become a leader, sure, you want to help your people, but when they start signing new people, you need to train your leaders to be leaders, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can completely agree. I know that John C. Maxwell in his book talks about that, because, yeah, it's definitely good. Let me see here. So what was one question that I had here? I thought I wrote it down. So you're an emerald personality.
Mm-hmm.
You like the structure.
Yes.
Do you draw in a lot of emeralds then? A lot of the same personality?
Surprisingly, I mean, there are a few on my team, but surprisingly, I have a pretty good mix. Okay. I have quite a few pearls, and a lot of my coaches have recruited pearls, which proves to be a little more difficult for me, surprisingly, even though I am emerald pearl personality. It's hard to draw the pearls out, and so that's become a little more difficult, but yeah, there's a pretty good mixture on the team, surprisingly. So I really thought I would be recruiting more emeralds, but I just recruit the willing, I guess. So,
and so we got about 5 minutes here. I know that you talked about how Lindsay says to keep recruiting, keep recruiting, keep recruiting. Have you had someone say, or like any of your coaches, like I know that sometimes I'll have some of my coaches, well, I don't know where to go. Like, I don't know what, I mean, how do you recruit? Like, who do you talk to? Like, I just don't know where to go. What do you tell your coaches that say that?
Well, I mean, my first thing is I ask them if they're making new friends, because that's very important in the business. I mean, and I'm working on getting over myself and working with my warm market, which your warm market is like family and friends, people that you know well. And that's hard for a lot of people, because you're like, I don't want to like try and con my family and friends into doing this with me. But at the same time, you don't know how many of those are looking for an opportunity like this. So that's something that I'm personally working on. So I try and talk to them about that too. But on top of that, I'm trying to make at least 2 to 3 new friends a day, meaning, and I used to use Twitter a lot, but it was really taking up a lot of my time. So now I really just use Facebook. So what I do is your Facebook gives you friend suggestions, and typically it's people that you have friends in common. Maybe it's like 1 or 2 or 10 or however many. And I'll just kind of go through, I'll go check out their profile, see if it's someone that like is attractive to me, like I think would have the kind of personality that I want to work with. And I'll just send them a friend request. I'll send out probably 3 or 4 a day. And some of them say yes, some of them don't. And the ones that do confirm it, then I'll send them a short message, something really random, be like, hey, so Facebook just keeps, bothering me and telling me that we need to be friends. So I just finally gave in, and then like, how are you today? Or something. Or if it's someone that I know personally that we have a friend in common, I'm like, so how do you know so-and-so? And then I'll just start up a conversation with them, and I'll just, start forming them. And I may not invite them for a month or 2. I'm just like building this relationship. So that's what you have to keep doing every single day, is making, at least 2 to 3 new friends. And that way you always have a list to go to invite to a challenge or to invite to the business. So that's what I tell those people, like, well, I don't know anybody. Well, go make new friends. I mean, that's the point of the business. I mean, none of my coaches I knew before I started this business. They were all people I've met through social media. So that's the key, is to grow your list, grow the people that you know. You always want to be making new friends and just building that relationship and getting to know them, about their family, their friends, what they like to do for fun, what do they do for a living, all that stuff, and just become a new friend. So
that's actually really great. I've actually never have ever thought about doing that. Now, I've never come across that aspect of, I have a lot of people that come to me. And so then I know that before, when I prospected, it came a lot from, the different sites and everything, and we would get messages. But now Facebook, hey, you pay for it or it goes to their others. So that's another one. So that's really good. That's something I learned new. I
was going to say, I also use groups. So like if you have any kind of special niche, I'll go fast. If you have a special niche, that's something that you're completely interested in, that nothing to do with fitness, make new friends in there. Comment, post, ask questions, make new friends that way. And that works too.
Awesome. So, you guys have any questions? There's 1 minute and 30 seconds left. If not, I guess last biggest thing too, before we close then is, how much time do you spend on personal development, and how important do you think it is to the business?
100% important, honestly. I used to not do it very much, but now, honestly, I listen to a lot more audio than I read. And so I probably listen at least an hour a day. And I can do other things. Like sometimes I'll mute my workouts and I'll listen while I'm working out. You could do that. Something like that. But it is so, like, it just transforms your mind. It makes you think in this more positive mindset. So it's so, so, so important. That's why it's one of the 3 vital behaviors. That's why people are successful. It's through personal development.
Awesome. Yay! So, okay, well, I mean, as far as that goes, I just want to say thanks, Jessica. I mean, it's nice to get to know more of the coaches that are in our, in our team and everything, because sometimes we don't know what goes on in their life and what can relate to you guys. So, I mean, open up. Like, if something you listened to that she said that was like, hey, that's building that bond. And
feel free to friend request me and send me a message if you have any more questions. I'm here to help. We're all one big team.
Yeah, and thank you so much for taking your time. I really appreciate it. Can't thank you enough. Thank you, everyone, for coming on Labor Day. So I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.